I didn't do like not as specific, like pregnant, workouts.
Yeah.
Kind of just did what the gym had, and I just scaled it to whatever I was able to do.
Yeah.
And then I worked out up until I gave birth.
Yeah.
So
you were doing strength training, gymnastics, like you changed a few movements, but you kind of kept it pretty much the same.
Yeah. Also kept the same routine too.
Yeah.
Usually worked out from 5 to 6 days a week. Depending on how I felt that week. But for the most part, I was skating like 5 days in.
Yeah. Yeah. So your first kind of recommendation here is if you're pregnant, don't stop training.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Especially if you're so used to doing that sport or that specific training, your body knows how to continue with that, even with you having a child in your stomach.
What's up, fam? Welcome to the Hale Fitness Podcast. I am Coach Jay. I'm here with Coach Wendy.
What's up, everyone?
So we are going to talk a little bit about Wendy. Now you are a mom for 11 months. It's going to be about a year in like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I figured we would talk about your journey recovering from. I say recovering. What did you do to kind of get back from having a child, which is, one of the kind of most traumatic things that can happen with a female body.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of women that train with us, and a lot of them have young kids, some of them infants, and there's this feeling that like getting back from pregnancy is it's like something that changes you forever, and there's definitely some aspects to that, but you've had some pretty good success, especially recently, getting back to your training.
Yeah. And like, you just never know how, like, what your body's capable of doing after childbirth. You don't know how long it's going to take. So I think like the not knowing how long is it going to take for me to feel back to like my athlete self, I think it's like the most like scary thing, or in my case, that's what I think I constantly thought about after having Weston.
Yeah.
It's like, well, is it going to take me 2 years? Is it going to take me 3 years?
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. Like there isn't like, I mean, they can tell you like, estimate time, right, that it will take, but everybody's different.
Yeah.
Like everyone reacts, postpartum very differently.
Yeah.
Every woman goes through the same thing. So it's your own unique body, how it wants to recover from childbirth.
Yeah. So I thought today we would talk a little bit about what if anything you did before, you gave birth, and then what was the sort of process afterwards? And then, what did you do to kind of get yourself back to where you are now, which is not like, you're not 100% there, are you? Or
not yet. I'm starting to get there.
Yeah.
But no, not yet.
Yeah. So, and, kind of talk through what were all the kind of steps and, what recommendations you have. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can probably start.
So let's start with like, you were fairly active, obviously, before you gave birth. So you've been doing this kind of training, sort of CrossFit training for like 7 years, something like that. Yeah. Before that. So you were used to lifting weights. You were used to doing all the gymnastics and that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I pretty much kept it the same. I mean, as I get bigger, I wasn't able to do most of the things, but I mean, just scale it down to whatever I was capable of doing. But I didn't do like not as specific, like pregnant, workouts.
Yeah.
Kind of just did what the gym had, and I just scale it to whatever I was able to do.
Yeah.
And then I worked out up until I gave birth.
Yeah.
So
you were doing strength training, gymnastics, like you changed a few movements, but you kind of kept it pretty much the same.
Yeah. Also kept the same routine too.
Yeah.
Usually worked out from 5 to 6 days a week. Depending on how I felt that week. But for the most part, I was skating like 5 days in.
Yeah. So your first kind of recommendation here is if you're pregnant, don't stop training.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Especially if you're so used to doing that sport or that specific training, your body knows how to continue with that, even with you having a child in your stomach. So
yeah. And would you say that it like had a positive impact on the whole sort of process of?
Yeah, I want to say for mentally it was a lot of help. Just because, hormones and just you getting bigger. I think just having like just sweating felt good. And it felt like I wasn't completely like, I wouldn't say useless, but like I can still do things, right, that I like to do. Like I can still train because it's my thing that I do when I'm training. So you still have a little bit of you while still, being pregnant. So I think it was like mentally was super helpful.
Yeah. So then, you went through the sort of birth process and it was a natural birth?
It was natural birth.
Yeah. It wasn't a C-section, basically. You don't have to describe all of it, but yeah.
What do you want to know about the childbirth?
No, it wasn't a C-section.
No. It wasn't. And I read social media tends to have like a lot of memes, but all those squats come in handy when you're pushing a baby.
Was that true?
Oh yeah, in my case it did. Okay. So it's a good thing I kept up with my squats because although it was like almost 3 days of labor, but I mentally and physically it helped for me to move. And that's what they say, right? The more you move, I wouldn't say the easier it gets, but your body's somewhat training for that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was helpful.
Yeah.
Super helpful.
So how long after you gave birth did you start working out again?
Yeah. So, as any woman that had child or children, you do need to wait for about 6 weeks or until your OB tells you that you're okay, you're in the clear to start moving. Yeah. And then, so I waited 6 weeks and then I got, I was told that I was able to kind of move.
So 6 weeks in one day?
No, after. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of remember you coming in here before 6 weeks.
But I wasn't like I was just more so for me to get out of the house.
Yeah,
and just, not be at home stuck there because I was going a little crazy.
Yeah.
No, but after 6 weeks after giving birth,
Yeah.
That's when I started to move more.
Yeah.
But before, I mean, they tell you not to really do much more than just like walks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
During those 6 weeks, but they need you to wait about 6 weeks.
So I'm curious, obviously I don't know a whole lot about this.
Yeah.
What are the sort of things that they look for? Like, how do they know, okay, you're ready or you're not ready? What are the things are they checking?
Yeah, more so like if your stitches are good, like they're clear, they should just come out. And then also they kind of check your uterus too, to see where your uterus is at, or if there's any like abnormal things too. So just kind of just making sure things are healing properly after giving birth, basically is what they're looking for.
Right.
So the biggest thing, and then, once they see that things are running pretty smooth, and, your body's capable of doing more than just walking and,
Yeah. So your doctor, when you said, "Hey, how fast can I go lift weights again?" Where they're like, "This is not normally what people ask."
No. I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I already knew the answer, but I wanted to see if I got like a different answer for my doctor. But so they, the Kaiser, that's where I have my OB. They kind of gave me like a sheet of movements that I can do once I was cleared. Yeah. And it's more so like core stuff, right?
Yeah.
She did tell me that it was totally okay for me to look somewhere else on my own or figure out on my own if I wanted to do more than what they recommend, but it was safe for me to do more, right? Now, the more after the 6 weeks, it does not mean I was going back to like, doing DT, right, for example, or kipping pull-ups or anything like that. It was still just very minor movement. Just kind of, regrouping or kind of feeling my body again. Yeah. And that was another 6 weeks after that. Yeah. So I basically wasn't able to touch the barbell. Not that I wasn't like allowed, but I just kind of told myself to just be patient. Yeah. Like, just make sure you're taking your time. So I didn't even touch the barbell or did not even any squats like after 6 weeks after I got cleared.
Yeah.
So
did you have the the thing where your abs, what's that called?
The diastasis?
Yeah, diastasis. Yeah.
I did get a little bit of opening. So it was like, I think 2 fingers, which is pretty normal. Thankfully, it wasn't more because it could have been more, right?
Yeah,
Again, like you just never know up until the baby's out of you.
Yeah.
So I did get a little bit of disconnection. Basically, my abs got spread out.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, they can come back, right?
Yeah.
But I had 2. I think it was 2 fingers.
Yeah.
Ones that they checked me, which is pretty normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's what I've known or what I've heard or read says that every woman, they do have some sort of diastasis, like everyone does. I mean, you know, your belly gets bigger out of nowhere, so obviously your abs will spread no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's just some people will have it more than others. It's just depending on like how your body reacts to that spread.
Right.
And mine's was pretty normal. It was 2 fingers. I did check recently. It's 1 finger now, so it's getting better.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you feel okay? So you were like 6 weeks you didn't do much, and then 6 weeks you kind of went slowly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were not lifting much weights, not doing anything like super.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that 6 weeks?
After 6 weeks, I started with back squats. I remember like PVC back squats, and I did that for 2 weeks, and then 3rd week I did empty barbell back squats. So it's kind of, you just got to take step by step.
Yeah. Did you just like make up this program on your own, or?
I kind of did. I did a little bit. I did have, I remember Tina, she sent, I remember we had trainer. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
She had, she actually got certified on BirthFit, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And I remember she gave us a trainer on how to scale pregnant women, how to scale postpartum women. And she sent us the like a manual, kind of like a reading. Yeah. So I got a little bit of that stuff there, and then I kind of just mixed it with a little bit of some things that I wanted to do to work on. So it sounds like you were kind of letting how you felt be your guide. Yeah, exactly. That's basically how. Yeah, that's how I started. So what I did, I kind of followed the first 3 days on what that the BirthFit. They recommend like sort of workouts to start with. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I think I can throw some stuff in there, right?
Yeah,
just kind of get a feel of how my body was reacting, when I first started moving more. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this when you came back. It's just like, this is a process that we've gone through since the beginning of man. Yeah. And your body knows what to do more than somebody outside of you knows what to do. Right. Yeah, definitely. And then just one thing I always told myself, just listen to your body. Like listen to your body. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. But the athlete in me was like, no, you got this. So I had to kind of just, sometimes stop myself. Like, I can do some squat cleans, right? With the 5-pound dumbbell. But I'm like, no. Yeah. Well, I guess at a certain point you do have to test that stuff, right? Yeah, that's right. And so it's like when you test it, it's like, oh, that didn't feel right or whatever. I remember I actually I tested a squat, third day after I was cleared to move to do some little more moving. And I remember that when I did like the 3rd squat, I felt some pressure and I was just like, okay, that's no bad. Squats. Yeah, no squats, no more. Like it's good testing, but no more. Yeah. So that's how it kind of went. Yeah. So I didn't do any squatting until 6 weeks after that. Yeah. And I think this is like one of the arguments for training consistently right up until you give birth is like you are really connected to how you feel sort of during that whole process. Yeah. And so you're only 6 weeks from that. So, you train up till that and then 6 weeks rest and then it doesn't take that long to feel what you're supposed to feel again. Right. Yeah. And to know like, oh, that's not right. Or this is, Yeah. So that's how basically it kind of went. And I do think I'm thankful for, I guess, myself, for. You thankful for yourself? I'm thankful. Yeah, great job, Wendy. Well, yeah, I think I did a really good job with listening to my body and not pushing it. If, I know that sometimes my ego and my, before Western basically would just be like, it's just a small little pressure. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. But I guess I could say that I was smarter to
Yeah.
listen to my body and actually do things according to what my body was capable of handling that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm very proud of myself for doing that.
Yeah. You weren't just like powering through.
Yeah. Which, you know, we both know this. We worked out so many times, and that's typically how we do things or some workouts, right?
I don't know. Actually, I think you do that every so often.
Yeah.
But I think most of the time, you and I probably take it easier than we.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think about this. It's just like I could have gone 10 or 20% harder.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, you know, I always think, well, I can train again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Like sometimes, or you know, if I think about it, right, some of the workouts that we've done in the past, it's like I have so much high expectations and I'm not happy with my performance.
Yeah.
Like, man, you sucked. Why did you go that slow or whatever?
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, you're capable of more.
Yeah.
Why didn't you give more?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that I did not want to happen. Right.
Yeah.
Like that Wendy to come out.
Yeah. So that's perfect, because like, I think that's actually what causes a lot of people issues.
Yeah.
And this is not just for women that have given birth, but just like former athletes and stuff like that. Is like, I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be able to do this, or, you know, that person who looks like they're not in a good shape, they can do it. Why can't I do it?
Oh my God. Yes.
And you just then set these expectations where either you push so hard that you hurt yourself, or you're just constantly disappointed.
Oh yeah.
Because you're just not measuring up to whatever it is.
Yeah. And I've got injured with that mentality.
Yeah.
Like I remember I went and this is why I'm like a little hesitant when I do front squats, heavy front squats, because I injured myself with front squats once.
Yeah.
And I was out for like 3 months and I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I just, you know, I think most people have that. Some people have it more than others, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you love a sport.
Yeah.
Like you just want to be so good at it, right?
Yeah.
So just having that balance, basically, it comes super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's 7 years of training, and having gone through an injury, you learn to pay attention.
Oh yeah.
Like we were talking about this the other day, like you kind of know if you're doing pull-ups, like where your hands start to like rip, and you get to know that, and you're like, all right, I'm just going to drop down.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen.
Yep.
And this is part of, you know, you have this connection to your body because of the training, right? Yeah. Okay. So you did this for 6 weeks, 6 weeks rest, 6 weeks work. And then were you just like back to normal, or like, what did you?
Yeah. And then after that, I slowly started doing the gym's workouts. Yeah. Started taking class. And I would mostly do the fitness scaling that the workouts have.
Yeah. So like, you know, just scaling down from what you used to be able to do.
Yeah. Sometimes I would even have to go like less than fitness sometimes, depending on the movement, depending on the workout.
Yeah.
And that was, I want to say, for a good 2 months that I did that, follow that scaling, but I was able to do the workouts. Yeah. You know, I wasn't able to do bar muscle ups, right, still, but I was able to do ring rows, right? I was able to do push-ups from my toes. Yeah. So small little things like movements, fundamental movements, I was able to do kind of RX, I guess. Yeah. Instead of like, you know, for example, a push-up from the box, I was able to do a push-up from the knees, right? Yeah. Because that's where I started. Yeah. And then I was able to bring it up a little bit back to where I was able to do before that. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's relative. You know, you say, oh, I wasn't able to do bar muscle ups. Most people will never be able to do those, but that's what you used to be able to do. So.
Yeah. You know, right?
Yeah. Well, you were doing them yesterday, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to sort of feel like, okay, I'm like back, or mostly back, you know, like 80-90% of what I used to be?
I want to say like 4 months.
4 months.
4 months, yeah.
So the 6 weeks plus another 6 weeks plus another 4 months?
Yeah.
Or, okay, so.
Yeah. No, actually, no. 2 months after the 6 weeks. Since I started moving, two and a half months. And then when I mean like not like 100% full back, right? Yeah. But I was able to add a little bit of weight at the barbell. Like I was able to do like, I remember the first workout that I actually went RX was a thruster workout. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know. I remember it was like 65 pounds thruster front squat push press. Yeah. I remember it was like a complex that we did at that weight. Yeah. And then that was my first RX workout after all that. So things like that.
So 4 or 5 months. And well, I guess where would you say now, like, you know, if you were, let's say before you got pregnant, you were 100% best shape of your life. Mm-hmm. How, you know, where are you now and relative to that? 90%, 80%?
I would say about 80, 89.
Okay.
Yeah, about 89%.
89.27.
Not quite 90, because like 90 is like, oh yeah, you're right there, right? Yeah, like 89%, I want to say.
Because again, this is relative, right? You're throwing out stuff like, I was doing 65 pound this and bar muscle up, whatever. But like the important thing here is like it's almost been a year since your baby has been born, and you're not even 100% yet.
No, not yet.
And so and when I watch you train, like you look like maybe you're not 100%, but you look like pretty close to that, right? I'm still trying to chase you down in workouts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that is, and this is somebody who trains consistently. You're here constantly, right? That is how long it takes.
It does.
And you're still kind of working for that
still
last 10%.
Still working on it, yeah. So I'm still like doing, a lot of the postpartum core work too. I do it 3 times a week. Yeah. With the other training that I do too as well here at the gym. So I'm still doing those fundamental things that, they tell you to do after having a baby. Yeah. So I'm still doing those right now because I think those are super important right now. So like I'm still working on it. Yeah. And I don't, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get to 100. Yeah. It's more like I'm happier where I'm at right now. Yeah. Because from day one, it just feels like 3 years. Like I'm never gonna, and this is what, I constantly kept thinking, like, I am never going to be able to lift like, close to my one max or whatever. Yeah. But like now I'm just like, okay, it's not that
You're
bad.
on the path.
Yeah. So I think, and I don't know if, I'm pretty sure most women go through that, but it's like, am I going to perform like I did before baby? Yeah. Like that was my biggest thing. Cause I really love this sport, right? Yeah. This is like, that's why I work here, right? Because I love doing this. And if this was taken away from me, then obviously this would be something like a huge part of it is missing from my life. So I don't think, I'll be quite whole, I guess you can say.
Yeah. So, okay, I have a couple more questions for that, but let's actually take a step back. What did you do for nutrition?
Yes.
So like first 6 weeks and the next 6 weeks, like were you just eating like whatever, or were you
pretty much? Yeah. Like that's, even with a newborn, you went through this a few times. Two times, right? With
I didn't have any babies.
You didn't, but you saw your wife go through it. Yeah. So, I'm still breastfeeding. So it's very important to just basically eat whatever you can because you are feeding now yourself and baby. So you pretty much can't really be on a diet or some sort of nutrition plan. You kind of just have to eat to kind of fuel up basically. Yeah. So pretty much just had, whatever I wanted. Yeah. I didn't really, I guess, kind of start playing around a little bit with nutrition. I think when Weston was probably 6 months.
Was there anything you avoided or?
Let's see. I pretty much tried to do a palm size of protein per meal. That's one thing that I did keep in mind.
Try to make sure you get enough protein.
Yeah. But pretty much, no, I didn't really limit myself to like, oh, you can't have, carbs or bread or whatever. Yeah. I didn't really much. But one thing I did try to keep up as much as I could, palm size of protein per meal. Yeah. And have like at least 3 meals a day. Yeah. This is really easy for you not to eat when you're feeding a baby, a newborn. Yeah. And thankfully I had my sister and my mom especially my mom, she would cook for me. Yeah. So that was super helpful to have someone, have fresh, warm meals. Yeah. But yes, that's one thing I did always try to keep up with, palm size of protein per meal.
So 6 months in, you said you made some changes. What'd you do?
I did. So I started tracking again.
Yeah. Just tracking what you were eating.
Yeah, just tracking. Just for me to see or have an idea of how much food I was having and then kind of see what was missing. Yep. And not for like a specific reason, just more so just to make sure that I'm doing okay with having enough food. Yeah. And I did that for, I want to say 2 months, just tracking food, just logging it. That's it. And, just making sure I have like protein, right? Meal.
Okay. So then 2 months and then what else? So now you're 8 months in. Yes. What did you change then?
So then I started kind of tracking more macros. So protein, carbs, and fats.
So, but you were tracking that stuff before.
No, I was just logging my food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't like hitting specific goals.
Okay, but then you're going to try to hit the goals.
Now I'm hitting specific goals daily.
Yeah. And why did you how did you pick those goals?
So we did a team competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this was, when did Rebecca tell us about this team comp? The first one.
Oh, I don't know. Like maybe a month or two before then?
Yeah. So when she told me that, I was like, you know what? I need to make sure I feel okay for this thing. Didn't take it super seriously, but I also didn't want to just feel awful either.
Yeah.
Which is why I kind of, started playing with my macros again.
Yeah. So that's like, I love that because it was an external thing that made you say, let me dial this in a little bit more. But also, like, none of us took it that seriously.
No.
Right? We weren't like, I got to win this thing or whatever.
Yeah.
It was more just like, let's do the best that we can.
Yes.
Right? And I think we did do the best we could.
We did. I mean, we got third place. I did not know. I had no expectation for us to podium.
But I mean, the point here was like having some external sort of motivator, like even if it doesn't matter that much, it at least gets you dialing things in a little bit more.
Yeah. Just to, focus like one thing, right? And then from there, I kind of was just like, it's actually helping because I saw a huge improvement in my workouts and my lifts. Yeah. So I kind of just got more motivated to keep it going, right? Yeah. Because I was just gonna do it up to just the competition. Yeah. From there, I wouldn't whatever. But no, like I kind of felt like my old self a little bit. Yeah,
I remember, and maybe this wasn't the moment, but I remember the reason that we got third place is because on the first workout, you were going to scale it.
Oh, that's right.
And I told you, I don't know, it was like a sandbag or something. Yeah. What did it weigh? Like 100 pounds
100 pounds, yeah.
And you were going to go for 50 or something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, just try the 100. Yeah. And then you just did it like 2 or 3 times. Yes. I was like, let's just do it, whatever. Yes. Like, we'll, Yeah. And like, I think everything else after that was like not as bad.
Yeah. Maybe
that other thing did. But yeah, everything after that was not as bad. But you kind of, like, it seemed to me like, oh, okay, you're kind of back, like not 100%, but yeah.
What I did realize too, and then, for like a competition, because we've done competitions in the past, but, I never really paid attention on my food prior, leading up to the competition. Yeah. And I did feel a difference. Like, you don't want to like, focus on your nutrition like 2 weeks prior to that comp. It actually takes more than that. Like, 2 to 3 months to kind of, see the difference. Yeah. And I definitely saw it because I was super second guessing myself with that sandbag. I was like, no way. Like because I tried it. I remember I tried it. I tried the 100-pound D-ball that we have here. Yeah. Oh man, it was so much work. Yeah. So much work. Yeah. I don't know if it was maybe like the pressure that I had to get it through or, whatever, but it felt good. Yeah. Well, here's the truth is if you would have said, no, I'm doing 50, then we would have been fine. You did it. Yeah. But you did it a few times and you're like, let's just do it. And but you had to do a lot of work just to get to that point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I do want to say me paying attention or being more playing with my macros again, I think was super helpful. Yeah. And it's still super helpful. Yeah. It seems like after that competition, you kind of dialed it up a little bit more. Yeah. What did you do after that? So we mean in terms of nutrition? Yeah. So I got more, so prior to that competition, I would only track for 5 days. So Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, I will take it off. Yeah. So now I'm doing 7 days. Yeah. And then I'm also taking a scan, and it's not more. And then I had like, I was going back and forth with the scan just because there's like a body fat scan. Yeah. Just because of that body fat percentage, I'm not really liking where I'm at. Yeah. Which is why I didn't want to take it. But it does help me to see in terms of my muscle mass, right? Yeah. Because right now, I think the other thing that I've been battling with is my weight. Ever since I had Western, it's like up and down. But then again, I keep telling myself like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about the weight. Yeah. But so I've been doing like a once a month scan. I've been doing that. Yeah. And I'm tracking 7 days. And then I'm also tracking my hydration too as well. Yeah. So that's another thing that I'm kind of, added to. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is not even related to being pregnant, but just your approach has always been awareness and consistency. Yes. Yeah. Right. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to track and I'm going to track my food and I'm going to scan once a month and I'm going to like do the workouts.
and I'm not going to make anything mean anything. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, if I want this to improve, I'm going to be consistent in this way and that way. And I just think like, just from a mental health perspective, when you're doing this kind of thing, like that's the only thing you can focus on.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're just like, okay, I need to weigh 130 pounds or whatever, you're just going to be so disappointed.
Oh man. Yeah. And then that's because I would do the scale, right? I would, at first, it's funny. At first I was like, you know what? I don't want to know my body fat percentage because I know that it's super high.
Yeah.
Let me just weigh myself. That was worse.
Yeah.
Way worse. Because I would just get disappointed every single time I would, step on the scale.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me switch it around. And that was super helpful to switch it around because it's the weight is like not everything. It's absolutely nothing sometimes. Yeah. So that's why I switched it around.
So you're about 90% of the way back and you've made all these sort of slow changes and it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
Right. And what are you going to do to get that extra 10% or you just don't care about it?
I'm experimenting with my macros a little bit right now. So I went higher on my protein, less carbs and a little bit more fat just to kind of play around with it. Yeah. But that's basically it. I mean, we have upcoming another comp. Yeah. Which I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe doing more competitions because I think that's like the fun part for me right now. Like working towards something, right? Not just doing it just to stay in shape or, you know, make sure my body fat is a certain body fat percentage, right? Yeah. But it's different now. So the reason why I'm tracking macros is not for body composition. It's more so to perform better for an event, right? Yeah, yeah. Which I'm loving. Like it's like different mentality, I guess you can say. Yeah. Which is more of a motivation to, stay consistent. Yeah. Right? And continue to train. Yeah, yeah. I'm so looking forward to it. So I think it's because of that. Yeah. My mindset's a little bit different in terms of why I'm focusing on a specific nutrition plan than before baby. Yeah. And we could probably do a whole separate podcast about events and signing up for stuff. But I think one of the things that's great about that is, again, kind of combining the stuff. It's like now you have something to train for. But then when we get there, we don't really care how we do. We don't.
Right? It's just like we want to do our best. Yeah. And if that means we finished first, amazing. If we finished 30th, whatever. We did our best. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like the idea of training for the thing so that like when you get there, you're like, I did my best. And then you can go off your macros the rest of that day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, I'm also working on getting those skills that I used to have before, right? So like the muscle ups, right? Something that I work or, do some sort of like 10-minute training after or before class to work on some skill work to get better with my muscle ups or get my ring muscle ups back. Yeah. So I do that on the side. Like I do like 3 times a week, I want to say. So I'm doing I'm adding that to it too as well. But not more so for the competition, but more so like I want that again. Yeah. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So if I can kind of like wrap some of this stuff together, right? There's when you're recovering from having a baby, it's going to take longer than you think, but it's not going to take forever.
No, it's not.
Right? You can kind of work your way back. Yeah. You just have to reset your expectations.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, be kind to yourself.
Yes. That's like the number one thing. And then, I worked with a lot of moms. I work with a lot of moms. And that's one thing that us women, we are terrible at. It's just not being kind to ourselves. Yeah. Like I had to sometimes stop myself and in tears. This was me in tears. Like you just gave birth to a human. Like, come on. Yeah. Like how do you expect your body to be back to normal when it took 9 months to make this human? Yeah. Right? Be kind to yourself. Yeah. Like it's okay.
And you're not sleeping.
Exactly. Like your life is so different. And then, with after baby, there is so many emotions, hormones, there's so many things going on to your body that you don't even understand what's happening. Yeah. So it's like, be kind to yourself. Like, come on. Yeah. Like it's okay. Yeah. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Yeah.
But then also just bringing awareness to what's happening. Yeah. Right. It's one thing to have all these emotions and feel this way, but if you have a particular goal in mind, have some awareness around the activities that would lead to that thing. Yeah. Right. Even if the goal is, years away, it's just like, hey, how much food am I eating? Yeah. How often am I working out? Yeah. again, don't beat yourself up about it, but
Yeah.
just be aware. Like even just weighing yourself and scanning yourself. Like, look, if you are used to weighing, 130 pounds, and then you step on the scale and you weigh 155.
Yeah.
Look, that's just the reality right now.
Right.
Right. And you can, like, the next time you step on, if you've made a few changes, maybe you'll weigh 154. Maybe you'll weigh 157. Who knows?
Yeah.
But now you know, and bringing that awareness will prevent it from going to, 177 or, 210 or whatever it is. Yeah.
I mean, like, I think biggest thing too after giving a baby or after having a baby, it's to just do something.
Yeah.
Like, it's just do something. If it means coming in for 30 minutes to get out of the house and just do something here at the gym, do it. Or going outside, or just having a time that day just to yourself, without you taking care of someone or being a mom or whatever, or a wife or whatever. Like, just do something. This could be working out, this could be hydration, right? Making sure you drink enough water, or 3 meals a day with a palm size of protein. That's how I started, to kind of just focus on myself, even though I couldn't move, like do any sort of core work after having. Let me just focus on making sure I get like a palm size of protein or whatever.
Yeah.
And that kind of mentally helps you a little bit to be like, okay, like we're getting there, right?
Yeah.
So just doing something.
Yeah.
Like
I guess one step I skipped as well is you've always kind of prioritized your health.
Yeah.
It's not the only thing that matters. Obviously, you have to take care of the little guy and stuff, but like if you're not feeling good, then you're not going to be able to take care of him or anyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so you always have sort of prioritized your health and yourself.
Yeah.
And that's always been important to you. So that maybe we should have made that step one.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the last thing that I'm kind of taking away from this is just like, give yourself a reason to show up.
Yes.
Right. So it's a competition or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything extreme, but just a reason to show up.
Yeah.
And
then from there, you'll take it, right? You'll maybe want to continue, or maybe you want to try something new or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just taking action steps, I guess you can say, like, but yeah, definitely I would say that's one thing that it was hard for me to, because I mean, sometimes I would forget, right? I would forget, like, if you're not healthy, baby's also, if you're not like okay, then baby's not going to be okay. And thankfully, I'm surrounded by a lot of moms here at the gym. And I remember I would come in and, sometimes I would be in tears or whatever, and then they would relate, right? Yeah. And I think Sean was the one who told me, Sean Norris. Yeah. She's like, well, you need to make sure you're okay first before baby. Yeah. She mentioned like the whole plane. Yeah. They, like, let's say the plane was crashing or whatever, they tell you for parents to put the mask on before. Yeah. So that's what she told me. And I was like, that is so true. Yeah. So, and I'm very lucky to have a lot of women here that were super, super supportive when I would come in, and just, we would just talk mommy stuff sometimes. Yeah. And that's all I would do when I would come here. Just like talk to, whoever was here, and then they can relate. So that's super helpful to have a community to kind of relate to you. Yeah. You don't feel alone. Yeah. Like, you don't feel like, oh, I'm a bad mom because, I want this. Yeah. They're like, no, I'm with you. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. Yeah. So it's super helpful to have that community there too as well. Yeah. I mean, that's really the underrated piece, is like having other people that you can talk through this with and relate to, and so you don't feel like you're going through it alone. Yeah. So that was helpful too as well. Excellent. But yeah, just do something. Yeah. Yeah, just do something. You're gonna have another one this year? Yeah, no. No. We're still working on that one. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Wendy, I appreciate you taking the time to share your story. Yeah, if anyone wanted to find out more or had questions about, their own path to recovery, how could they reach out to you? Wendy at Hale.com. HaleFitness.com. Yes. You know your own email address. All right, Wendy at HaleFitness.com. Yes. Thank you all for listening or watching the podcast. If you need anything, reach out to us. Wendy at HaleFitness.com, Jay at HaleFitness.com, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, we've got plenty of others. Go check out this one over here.